What fascinated me first, apart from the fact that the animal is sublime, that it's the biggest and strongest of animals, for me personally it was the cultural relationship between humans and elephants in Asia. What we offer is knowledge of the field, knowledge of the language which allows us to communicate with the people and understand their way of life, the interaction they have with their elephants. So we can collect first-hand information in the field from the mahouts, the elephant trainers. It's also about experiencing a relationship with the animal. So that's knowledge gained in the field without being a vet or a conservation specialist, without ever having studied the subject. It's more an experience of Laos and this relationship between humans and elephants.
In 1995, Sébastien Duffillot went to Laos to take part in a cooperation program. Very quickly, this graphic designer by training fell under the country's spell.
Although originally before loving elephants, I loved the forest in this region of Asia in particular, the forest in general, but particularly this subtropical Asian ecosystem, where I think that the elephant is a site that's totally connected with the forest, and to see the elephants in a forest makes it totally sublime.
Formerly known as the country of 1 million elephants, Laos now has only 1,500 pachyderms, of which about 600 are domesticated. 75% of the elephants are in the province of Siberi, in the northwest of the country. With a real threat of extinction facing the animal, Sébastien Duffillot and Gilles Maurer created the ElefantAsia organization in 2002. With the help of the Animal Health Centre of Laos, they've set up a mobile veterinary clinic. Today, the veterinary unit is leaving Vientiane, the capital, for the foothills of Siberi, more than 600 kilometers away. The expedition will last 1 week and will allow them to meet the elephants and their mahouts in the distant rural regions.
Our veterinary program is essential for the health of the elephants, because up till now there were no vets who specifically looked after elephants in Laos. Very few vets dared to go out to elephants, and above all there was a fear on the part of the mahouts to go to vets. Knowing the incompetence of traditional vets concerning elephants, mahouts were reluctant to take their elephants to them simply because they care about the animal, it's expensive, and often the treatment provided by vets who are more used to chickens, pigs and buffalo, well, they don't necessarily know the right dosages or pathologies specific to elephants, so there was nothing. So on the one hand, we filled a gap, and gradually as the veterinary unit has traveled across almost the whole of Siberi province now, the results are effective, and so word has spread among the mahouts, and today we're often asked to go and treat elephants. So there's this purely medical aspect of treating animals who are in pain because they work too much or because they get injured.
60 years ago, there was no industrial exploitation of wood in Laos. Elephants were used in villages to transport rice after the harvest, wood for heating, or wood for construction. Today, with the mechanization of forestry operations, wood is cut in areas that are sometimes hard to access. The elephants are responsible for taking the wood close to the roads.
Today in Laos, the elephants aren't grouped together in villages or camps. They're actually in the middle of the forest, and there are no telephones to contact the mahouts. So we obviously go through administrative channels. The province informs the district informs the village informs the mahout. The problem is that the owner is often the known person, and he's in one place, but his elephant might be 500 kilometers away, working in the forest. So we have to plan, to organize these missions, and to get the information through to the mahouts about the fact that the mobile unit is coming to this place on this day. So appointments are often by the side of the road, and there are 5 or 10 elephants waiting for us.
5-10 éléphants qui nous attendent.
In Laos, around 10,000 people make their living from working domesticated elephants, mainly used for hauling logs. Even though he's very rarely the owner of the animal, the mahout is the one who knows it best and provides the day-to-day care to keep it in good health. The main difficulty of his job is that he must look after his beast while pushing it to its physical limit.
The limit is the limit between authority and, of course, authority is necessary when you have 4 tons of flesh and muscle under your backside. You have to control the animal. And the limit is violence, gratuitous violence, to punish an elephant for the slightest fault. And that's not the way a good mahout acts. The stick can be used lightly, I'd say, to scare the elephant, and you often see mahouts make the move to use their stick or their knife, and they don't complete the movement. But it's enough to set the elephant back on the right track. But there are mahouts who will systematically hit the elephant for a slight fault, and that's very dangerous, both for the elephant and potentially for the mahout, because an elephant is an intelligent animal that remembers the blows rained down on him. And if they're not justified, there are a lot of cases, particularly in India, where an elephant has killed the mahout. It's not difficult for an elephant to kill its mahout. It's actually very easy.
Sébastien and his team have now been driving on barely passable roads for 5 hours. In these conditions, it's hard to keep to the time arranged. There are only a few kilometers to go before they reach the meeting place. But after 2 hours of waiting, the mahouts, who are paid by the cubic meter of wood shifted, have decided to go back to their work in the forest. After missing a first appointment, the caravan moves on to another place where other mahouts are waiting. The first step is to ascertain the weight of the animal. Smaller than its cousin, the African elephant, the Asian elephant can still weigh up to 5,000 kilograms.
We determine the general condition of the animal, and a fundamental piece of information is the elephant's weight. Measuring the girth of the elephant at the chest allows us to estimate its weight.
She's called Camille. She lost weight. Last time we measured her, she weighed 3,000 kilograms. And now she's 2,700 kilograms.
The success of the mobile unit lies in the close collaboration between the mahouts and the Laotian vets. Sébastien relies on the support of Vatsana Chantavong, a vet who's worked with the organisation for a few years.
My parents said, "Oh, is it true? Elephants are very big." I told them, yes, they are very big, but they're very friendly and sweet. I've never seen them being aggressive. I like them.
They're in reasonable health. They're a bit thin because they're working. An elephant's weight tends to fluctuate a lot. It's not necessarily that they're badly fed or sick, but when they work a lot, they lose a lot of weight. They just need a few days of feeding to get back to their initial weight. So weight isn't always a decisive factor in a medical visit. But what's more upsetting, for example, is this injury the elephant has above the eye. It's most probably a blow from a machete in a moment of panic by this very young mahout. He's only 15 years old. He's been a mahout for 2 months and he's already hit his elephant with a machete, so it's maybe worth having a chat with him.
But Annie, เจ้าเฮ็ดเองวะเจ้าเฮ็ดโดนแล้วบ่จักเดือนแล้ว
บ่ไม้มันอยู่ข้างทางแล้วเราฟันแล้วมันล่วงทึกฟันไม้แล้วล่วงไปทึก
Ah, right. It wasn't to punish his elephant. He was cutting bamboo to get through it when the machete finished up in the elephant's skull, but it shows his movements are rather inaccurate.
The elephant has been part of Laotian culture for thousands of years. Unfortunately, over time, many Laotians have lost direct contact with the animal. After noticing that, in 2002, Sébastien Duffillot and Gilles Maurer decided to organise an incredible expedition over 1,300 kilometres. For more than 3 months, the elephant caravan travelled through towns and villages to reintroduce the animal to the local populations and to raise awareness of the danger that the elephants might disappear.
Straight away, there was a very strong reaction from the population where we took the elephants. We went through 10 provinces of Laos out of 16, and we brought together the local people and the elephants on a daily basis in 100 villages over about 100 days. So there was a tangible result in the reaction of the people and the sadness they felt at not having any elephants left in their province. So it was a very strong emotional shock at the local level. The success of the caravan made us think that Laos was a suitable place to develop a real action plan to support elephants.
Propice à développer une vraie action en faveur de l'éléphant.
In spite of the success of the elephant caravan, Sébastien realises that ensuring the survival of the pachyderm isn't a foregone conclusion.
Vatsana, you do the registration. You check the documents with the mahout. At the same time, Eng, Puong and I will look around the elephant. His abscess is completely gone? That's good. Was it a big abscess? What was it like last time? A small abscess. Did you lance it? No. The elephant had a big abscess behind his ear which was infected at the time of the last medical visit. So it was scraped and washed out last time, and it seems to have gone down completely. It's often the work harness and straps that rub when the elephants are pulling wood. The tree trunks often weigh 2 or 3 tons, and the rubbing of the straps on the elephant's body often causes abscesses. And the fact that they're working all the time means that these abscesses fester and go down and then fester again.
Even though its life expectancy is around 60 years, the domesticated elephant remains very vulnerable. In 2008, the Asian elephant was placed on the International Union for Conservation of Nature's Red List of Threatened Species.
For domesticated elephants, the crucial thing is the overworking of elephants and the problems of reproduction, in Laos at any rate. Overworked elephants today have neither the time nor the strength to reproduce. There are also important economic parameters which restrict reproduction, since the owners and elephant mahouts have to rest their animal for the 2 years of gestation and then a further year until the baby elephant is completely weaned. So those are 3 years during which the owners can't earn money. That's a mainly economic restriction.
Donc c'est un frein principalement économique.
Saving the domesticated elephant in Laos will obviously require the development of new alternatives to this punishing work of hauling logs, and also an increase in the country's rate of reproduction, since, since today we're at about 0.05, which represents 1 birth per year for the whole of the population. So for every baby elephant that's born, I think 5 die in Laos today.
Donc pour un éléphanteau qui naît, il y en a, je crois, 5 qui meurent au Laos aujourd'hui.
With such a low rate of reproduction, in about 40 years' time, domesticated elephants will be extinct in Laos. Time is of the essence. Sébastien is wondering whether there are solutions that would help the elephants' reproduction while allowing the mahouts to earn a living. The veterinary unit has been crisscrossing the province for nearly 6 days. There are only 2 more visits to make before they return to the capital. These expeditions in the field have made Sébastien think about some original ways to ensure the survival of the domesticated elephant.
With the projected disappearance of forests and their overexploitation, there will surely come a time when the elephants are without employment. So we need to be thinking now about the future of these elephants and potentially of the baby elephants that will be born in the coming years in Laos. The solution is probably the development of green tourism, ecological tourism, which would employ elephants.
This idea of ecological tourism has been moved along by the founders of ElefantAsia. Today, Sébastien and Gilles organise treks on elephants for periods of 3 to 5 days. The region of Hong Sa in the north of Laos was chosen for the treks. The area is famous for the ancestral tradition of the mahouts, but also for the beauty of its countryside.
You're nice, aren't you? You're beautiful. Riding on an elephant isn't just riding on a big animal. It's riding on a big animal that's threatened with extinction. It's a living symbol, a living god. It's being in the middle of an environment which is still preserved. These 3 factors together give the visitor an unforgettable experience. And for the person who's used to it, there's still a new emotion every time. We never get tired of following in the footsteps of the elephants. So we set out from Hong Sa and went due east for about 4 or 5 kilometers this morning to the little village. Then we turned due north and we're going up a small mountain. We'll come back down and we'll climb a bit more and then come back down towards a river called the Nam Thap. The Nam Thap is a tributary of the Mekong. So tomorrow we'll follow it all the way to the Mekong. From the local point of view with the mahouts, I think the message we're trying to get through is that they need to think now about what they'll do in the future, because they do realize that by exploiting wood so frantically, one day they'll have no more work. Even though mostly these are people who think about the near future and not necessarily 10, 15 years ahead. First they think about their subsistence and then their immediate future. But good quality tourism in their region, because they want to stay at home with their families too. So there's no question of us taking the elephants to tourist centres. We want to bring people who really want to discover elephants to have an experience with them.
We think that tourism in particular, if it's done correctly, is a way that can allow the animals to be saved, can allow the ancient traditions of the mahouts to be preserved, can preserve this cultural dimension of the living elephant, and not just in paintings on the walls of pagodas.
Cette dimension culturelle de l'éléphant vivante et pas simplement peinte sur des peintures de pagodes.
Ding, 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 ding. Ding, ding. Okay.
The mobile veterinary unit circuit has allowed them to provide care in the field to more than 10 elephants. Going back to Vientiane, Sébastien is already thinking about the preparations for another major event that he and Gilles started in 2002, the Elephant Festival. After the success of the Elephant Caravan, they wanted to organise an annual gathering which is both a cultural festival about elephants and a way of raising awareness.
I think it's part of this idea, which is to motivate everyone, to gather everyone in support of this animal. And I think that gradually it's starting to catch on and people are realizing that we're in a situation that isn't really sustainable. But there are options that can be developed.
Mais qu'il y a des options qui peuvent être développées.
I'm one of those people who takes their dreams seriously. So seeing baby elephants being born in the framework of our program, for example, would be something that would give us more energy to continue. Today we're taking teams and treatment to where there was none before. But I think that to really improve the condition of the elephants, we have to limit the work rates, and we'll have to find alternatives to this incredibly strenuous work.
I think that the biggest problem, as I said, is really the lack of time. They need time to reproduce and to rest. Humans, who in fact have lived in parallel with these animals for 4,000 years, need to give them perhaps 10 years or more to regain their strength.
De reprendre un peu des forces.